My girlfriend said, I don't like your kids from your previous marriage coming over. I said, I hear you. Then I broke up with her immediately. She tried to backpedal when she realized she was the one who had to leave, not my kids. Original post. I, 35 male, operate my life based on a hierarchy of importance that is etched in stone. At the very top sits my children, Leo, 8, and Sophie, 6. Below them is my career as a forensic accountant, which keeps the lights on. Below that is my house, a customized colonial I spent 5 years renovating. Somewhere further down the list was Tiffany, 29. Tiffany and I had been together for 14 months. She moved in 6 months ago. At the time, it seemed logical. She was a lifestyle consultant, which meant she spent a lot of time arranging charcuterie boards and filming herself opening packages. She was charming, organized, and seemed to tolerate the chaos that comes with 2 elementary school-age children. My custody arrangement with my ex-wife, Claire, is a standard 50-50 split. 1 week on, 1 week off. We are functional co-parents. We don't do holidays together, but we don't hate each other. It works. The friction with Tiffany started subtly. It was little comments about sticky hands or noise levels. I accommodated her at first. I hired a cleaner to come twice a week instead of once. I enforced stricter quiet hours for the iPad. I thought we were just adjusting to cohabitation. I was wrong. I wasn't adjusting. I was being groomed to erase my children. It happened on a Tuesday evening. I was in the kitchen prepping a lasagna for dinner because the kids were coming over the next day for my custodial week. Tiffany was sitting at the island, scrolling through her phone, sipping a glass of red wine that cost more than my first car. She put the phone down and sighed, a heavy, theatrical exhale that usually signaled a serious talk. Grant, she said, we need to look at the calendar. Okay, I said, layering noodles. What's up? Birthday party? No, it's about the kids coming over tomorrow. I was thinking, maybe you could swap weeks with Claire? Or maybe just take them out for dinner and drop them back at her place. I stopped layering. I wiped my hands on a towel and turned to face her. Why would I do that? It's my week. They live here. She took a sip of wine, her eyes avoiding mine. It's just that I have a lot of content to shoot this week. I need the lighting in the living room, and I need silence. Having them running around, leaving toys everywhere, it disrupts the aesthetic. It messes with my workflow. They're in school until 3, I reminded her. You have a whole day. It's not just a day, Grant. It's the energy. I don't like your kids coming over this much. It makes the house feel cluttered, chaotic. If we're going to take this relationship to the next level, I need this space to feel like ours, not theirs. I think we should transition to them visiting every other weekend. Claire's the mom, right? She should be doing the heavy lifting. The air in the kitchen didn't change temperature, but I felt a sudden, absolute zero chill settle in my chest. It wasn't anger. Anger is hot. This was clarity. It was the forensic accounting part of my brain looking at a ledger, seeing a massive liability, and deciding to liquidate it immediately. You don't like my kids coming over, I repeated. To their own home. I knew you'd get defensive, she rolled her eyes. I'm just setting boundaries. I need a partner who prioritizes my mental peace. I can't be a stepmom and a brand. It's too much. I hear you, I said. My voice was level. Calm. She smiled, relieved. She thought she had won the negotiation. She thought she had successfully rebranded my custody agreement. I'm so glad you understand, babe. It's really for the best. We can have date nights. We can travel. You're absolutely right, I interrupted. Boundaries are essential, and priorities are non-negotiable. I walked over to the drawer where we kept the spare keys. I took the spare house key off the hook. We're breaking up. Tiffany froze, the wine glass halfway to her mouth. What? We're done. The relationship is over. Immediately, she laughed, a nervous, tinkling sound. Grant, stop being dramatic. I'm just asking for space. And you're going to get it, I said. You just asked me to evict my children from their home so you could shoot Instagram reels. That's not a request for space. That's a declaration of war against my family. I choose them. Every single time. Without hesitation. You're choosing them over me? She asked, the entitlement leaking into her voice. I'd choose their goldfish over you, I said. I need you to pack a bag. You can't stay here tonight. The realization hit her. The smile vanished. The brand facade cracked. I live here, she snapped. You can't kick me out. I have rights. I'm a tenant. You moved in 6 months ago, I said. You've never paid a dime of rent. You contribute to utilities sometimes when you remember. You are a guest who has overstayed her welcome. I'm not going anywhere, she declared, crossing her arms. This is my home, too. I picked out the curtains. I paid for the curtains, I corrected. And the rod. And the installation. Look, Tiffany, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is you go to your sister's house tonight, and we figure out a move-out schedule. The hard way is I start treating you like what you claim to be, a hostile tenant. I'm staying, she hissed. And if you try to force me out, I'll call the police and tell them you're abusing me. That was the moment the last shred of affection died. She wasn't just selfish, she was dangerous. Okay, I said, you're staying. But things are going to change. Immediately. I took my lasagna out of the oven before it was cooked. I wrapped it in foil and put it in the fridge. Where are you going? She demanded. To eat dinner, I said. Alone. I walked out, got in my car, and drove to a diner. I sat there for an hour, eating a burger and drafting a plan. She wanted to play the tenant rights card? Fine. We would play by the strictest, most bureaucratic landlord-tenant rulebook in existence. When I got home later that night, she was locked in the guest room. She had moved her stuff in there in a huff. I slept in the master bedroom with the door locked. I didn't sleep well, but I knew one thing. My kids were coming over tomorrow, and Tiffany was about to learn that aesthetic doesn't pay the mortgage. Update 1. It has been a week since the lasagna incident, and my house has transformed into a zone of passive-aggressive warfare. Tiffany seems to think this is a game of chicken. She believes that if she makes herself inconvenient enough, I will cave, apologize, and send the kids to their mothers so she can resume her reign. She severely underestimates the stubbornness of a father protecting his territory. The morning after the breakup, Wednesday, was D-Day. The kids were arriving at 3 p.m. I woke up early. Tiffany was already in the kitchen, making a smoothie using my Vitamix and my frozen berries. Good morning, she said breezily, as if she hadn't threatened to frame me for abuse the night before. I decided to forgive you for your outburst. We can talk about the schedule later. There is no schedule, I said, pouring coffee. I serve you with a formal notice to quit this morning. It's taped to your bedroom door. In this state, since you don't have a lease and don't pay rent, you're considered an at-will tenant. You have 30 days. The clock started at 6 a.m. She dropped the smoothie spoon. You serve me? Like legally? I drafted it myself, but it's legally binding. I took a time-stamped photo of it on your door. You're a psychopath, she spat. I'm a landlord, I corrected. Now, regarding the amenities. Since you are claiming tenant rights, we need to clarify what is included in your tenancy. You pay 0 rent. Therefore, you are entitled to a habitable room and access to common areas. You are not entitled to my personal property. I walked over to the internet router. I unplugged it. I took it with me. What are you doing? She shrieked. I have to upload a partnership video. The internet is in my name, I said. It's a luxury utility, not a necessity like water or heat. Feel free to set up your own account. The provider can probably come out in 2 weeks. You can't do that. I just did. Also, the food in the pantry, I bought it. The Vitamix, I bought it. Unless you have a receipt, please refrain from using my appliances. I put the router in my car and went to work. When I came back at 3 p.m. with Leo and Sophie, the house was quiet. Tiffany had retreated to the guest room. Daddy, where's Tiffany? Sophie asked, dropping her backpack. She's working in her room, I said. She's going to be moving out soon, so she's busy packing. Oh, Leo said, can we play Mario Kart? Absolutely. We played loud video games. We made popcorn. We laughed. I made sure the volume was just loud enough to be annoying to someone trying to record mindfulness content in the next room, but not loud enough to violate noise ordinances. Around 5 p.m., Tiffany burst out of her room. Can you keep it down? She yelled. I'm trying to record. Leo and Sophie froze. They aren't used to being yelled at by adults in their own home. I stood up. I walked over to her, placing myself between her and the kids. Tiffany, I said, my voice low and hard. Do not raise your voice at my children. If you have a noise complaint, you can address it to the landlord in writing. But this is a common area. It is 5 p.m., and they are allowed to exist. They are screaming. They are laughing. There's a difference. Go back to your room. She glared at me, then looked at the kids. She realized she had no power here. She stomped back to her room and slammed the door. That night, the entitlement escalated. I had put a lock on the master bedroom door. Tiffany realized she had left her good moisturizer in a master bath. She pounded on my door at 10 p.m. "Grant, let me in. I need my face cream." "I'm sleeping," I called out. "Wait until morning. It's $300 cream. I need it. Should have thought about that before you became a hostile tenant." The next day, Thursday, she tried a new tactic, the utility war. I came home to find a thermostat set to 85 degrees. The windows were open. She was trying to run up my bill. I didn't yell. I walked to the hallway thermostat. I ripped the faceplate off and removed the batteries. Then I went to the basement and installed a lockbox over the HVAC unit controls. I set the temperature to a sensible 68 degrees. "Why is the AC off?" she demanded when she emerged, sweating in her athleisure wear. "System maintenance," I lied. "Might take a while to fix. I suggest you dress lightly. You are doing this on purpose." I'm managing my property. Then came the flying monkeys. Friday evening, my phone rang. It was Tiffany's mother, Linda. Linda is a woman who thinks her daughter is God's gift to the world, and that I was merely the wrapping paper. "Grant," Linda's voice was icy. "Tiffany tells me you are abusing her, starving her, locking her out of rooms." "Hi, Linda," I said, putting the phone on speaker while I folded laundry. "Tiffany is currently residing in the guest room rent-free. She has access to the kitchen and bathroom. She simply doesn't have access to my personal groceries or my private bedroom. If that's abuse, the bar has been lowered significantly. She says you cut off the internet. I stopped paying for a service for a non-paying tenant who threatened me. She is welcome to get a hotspot. You are a petty little man," Linda spat. "She devoted a year of her life to you. She devoted a year to living in a luxury home without bills," I countered. "She has 23 days left on her notice. If she wants to leave sooner, I will happily help her pack. Do you have space for her, Linda?" Silence. Linda didn't want her back. "Tiffany is high maintenance. We expect you to treat her with respect," Linda said weakly before hanging up. Saturday, I discovered Tiffany's attempt at revenge. I went to use the coffee maker. It was filled with salt instead of sugar. Childish. I want to put on my favorite sneakers. One of the laces had been cut. Petty. I didn't confront her. I documented it. I took photos. I started a spreadsheet titled Damages and Deductions. Then I sent her an email. Subject: Property damage and security deposit. Tiffany, since we do not have a formal lease, I cannot withhold a security deposit you never paid. However, I am documenting all damage to my personal property: sneakers, $120, coffee maker cleaning, $15 worth of labor. I will be filing a small claims suit for these damages upon your departure. Every item you break, cut, or ruin is just another line item on a court summons. I suggest you stop." She didn't reply, but the petty vandalism stopped. Now, she's just lurking. She stays in her room mostly, coming out only to glare at me or the kids. She's trying to make us uncomfortable. But here's the thing she doesn't get. I lived in a dorm with 3 engineering majors. I can outwait anyone. And every day she stays here miserable is a day she isn't ruining someone else's life. Update 2. We are down to 14 days on the notice to quit. The atmosphere in the house has shifted from hostile to legal thriller. Tiffany realized that petty vandalism wasn't working and that I wasn't going to cave on the internet or the food. So, she decided to aim for my reputation. She figured if she couldn't control the house, she would control the narrative. On Monday, I started getting notifications on my business Instagram page. I run a small but respectable forensic accounting firm. Trust is my currency. Suddenly, 1-star reviews started popping up. Unprofessional and rude. Do not trust this man with your finances. Discriminatory practices. Hates women. Stay away. Cheated me out of thousands. A liar and a thief. They were obviously fake, posted by accounts with 0 followers and generic names like Sarah889 and Boss Tiff fan. I didn't panic. I do forensic accounting. Tracking digital footprints is literally my job. I took screenshots. I analyzed the timestamps. They were all posted within a 20-minute window, coincidentally, while Tiffany was working in the guest room. I walked to her door and knocked. "Go away," she yelled. "Tiffany, open the door. We need to talk about libel." She yanked the door open. She looked tired. The glow was gone. "What now? I see you've been busy on Google reviews," I said, holding up my phone. "I don't know what you're talking about," she lied, failing to make eye contact. "That's fine. You don't have to admit it. But here is the reality. Defamation per se is when you make false statements that damage a person's professional reputation. Accusing a forensic accountant of theft is a career-ending accusation. That makes it actionable." I handed her a printout. "This is a draft of a cease and desist letter. My lawyer is filing it tomorrow. If those reviews aren't down in 1 hour, I'm adding a defamation lawsuit to the small claims action for the sneakers. And unlike the sneakers, defamation damages can run into the tens of thousands. Do you have $10,000, Tiffany?" Her face went pale. "You can't sue me for review. It's free speech." "It's free speech if it's true," I said. "It's libel if it's a lie meant to harm my business." 1 hour. I went back to the kitchen. 50 minutes later, the reviews were deleted. But she wasn't done. Wednesday was the day she tried to weaponize the police again. I was in the backyard with the kids. It was an off week, but I picked them up for ice cream. We were playing tag. A police cruiser pulled into the driveway. My heart hammered. I told the kids to go inside and watch TV. I walked to the driveway. 2 officers stepped out. "Sir, we received a call about a domestic disturbance," the older officer said. "Report says a female resident is being held against her will and denied access to basic necessities." I took a deep breath. "Officers, the female resident is my ex-girlfriend. I serve her with an eviction notice 2 weeks ago. She is free to leave at any time. In fact, I would be thrilled if she left. As for necessities, she has water, heat, and electricity. She just doesn't have my Wi-Fi password or my credit card." Tiffany came running out onto the porch, putting on a performance worthy of an Oscar. Tears, trembling hands. "He locks me in," she sobbed. "He won't let me eat." "Do you have keys to the house, ma'am?" the officer asked. "Yes, but..." "So you can leave?" "I have nowhere to go. He's making it hostile." I pulled out my phone. "Officers, I have security cameras in the common areas. I can show you footage of her coming and going freely all week. I can also show you the untouched food in her designated cabinet space. She isn't starving. She's refusing to buy her own groceries." The officers looked at Tiffany. They looked at the manicured lawn, the calm demeanor I was projecting, and a lack of any physical distress on her part. "Ma'am," the officer said, sounding exhausted, "this is a civil matter. If you are being evicted, you need to take it up in housing court. Unless he physically harms you or locks you in a room you cannot escape from, we cannot intervene." "But he's mean to me," she wailed. "Being mean isn't a crime," the officer said. "Have a good day." They left. Tiffany stood on the porch, her face blotchy with rage. "You charmed them," she screamed. "You manipulator." "I use facts," I said. "You use drama. Facts win." 13 days, Tiffany. Thursday, she tried the party tactic. I came home from work to find 3 strange women in my living room. They were drinking my wine, which I had foolishly left in a rack, not the locked pantry. "Oh, he's home," Tiffany said, rolling her eyes. She was holding court on the sofa. "Girls, this is the landlord." The girls giggled. "Get out," I said. "They are my guests," Tiffany challenged. "Tenants are allowed guests." "Actually," I said, "since you are an at-will tenant with no lease, the default state rules apply. And my house rules, which I am implementing right now verbally, are no guests without 24-hour written approval from the homeowner. Everyone out. Now. Or what?" One of the friends sneered. "You gonna call the cops?" "No," I said. "I'm going to turn off the main power breaker to the living room and kitchen. And then I'm going to sit in the dark and play bagpipe music on a battery-operated speaker until you leave." I walked to the basement. I killed the power to the first floor. The music stopped. The lights died. Then, I played Scotland the Brave on a loop at max volume from my portable JBL speaker. It took 4 minutes. They couldn't handle the absurdity. They fled, calling me a psycho. Tiffany screamed at me in the dark hallway. You are ruining my life. You tried to erase my children, I said over the bagpipes. This is just the encore. Yesterday, the final straw dropped. I found a listing on Facebook Marketplace. Selling vintage mid-century modern coffee table, $400. Pickup only. It was my coffee table, the one in my living room. She was trying to sell my furniture while I was at work. I didn't report the post. I messaged her from a burner account. Interested. Can pick up at 6 p.m. She replied, perfect. I came home at 5:55 p.m. She was dragging the table toward the door. Going somewhere? I asked. She jumped. I was just moving it to clean. Really? Because John is coming to buy it for $400 in 5 minutes. Her face dropped. That is theft, Tiffany. Attempted larceny. If you move that table 1 more inch, I will press charges. And unlike the gaslighting with the cops, I have the Facebook messages linked to your account. She let go of the table. She slumped against the wall. I'm broke, she whispered. I have no money. You cut me off. I can't afford a deposit on a new place. You have a job. You have a brand. The brand makes $200 a month. You paid for everything. I can't live like this. There it was. The truth. The entitlement stripped bare. She wasn't a partner. She was a parasite who resented the host. That sounds like a you problem, I said. But since I want you gone, I will make you a one-time offer. You leave by Sunday. Completely. You sign a paper stating you have no claims to the property. In exchange, I will not sue you for the sneakers, the coffee maker, or the defamation. I will call it a wash. She looked at me. I need cash. For a mover. I'll pay for the U-Haul, I said. Directly to the company. Not a penny to you. Take it or leave it. If you stay the full 30 days, I sue you for everything. She stared at the floor. Fine. Sunday is move-out day. I'll be watching. Update 3. Final. The house is silent. Not the tense, heavy silence of a battlefield, but the clean, open silence of a sanctuary restored. Tiffany is gone. Sunday morning was a spectacle. I rented the U-Haul as promised, paying the vendor directly. I wasn't handing her cash that could be repurposed for aesthetic brunch. She didn't have friends to help her. The girls who drained my wine didn't show up to haul boxes. Her mother, Linda, sent a text saying she had a migraine and couldn't assist. So it was just Tiffany alone, dragging her life out of my house. I sat on the front porch with a cup of coffee, sugar, not salt, and supervised. I wasn't going to lift a finger, but I needed to ensure she didn't accidentally pack my toaster or my artwork. She tried. She walked out carrying a framed print from the hallway. That's mine, I said calmly from the porch chair. I bought the frame, she argued. You bought the frame for my print. Take the print out, leave the art. Or leave the whole thing. Your choice. She spent 5 minutes struggling to remove the backing, cursing under her breath, before throwing the print on the hallway table and taking the empty IKEA frame. Keep your stupid art, she muttered. I intend to. It took her 6 hours. By 2 p.m., the guest room was empty. The living room was cleared of her diffusers and throw blankets. She stood in the foyer, holding her last box. She looked at me, expecting something. A regret? A final plea? You're going to miss me, she said. It was a weak attempt at a power move. This house is going to be so boring without me. Boring is underrated, I said. Leave the key on the table. She slammed the key down. I hope your kids draw on the walls. If they do, I'll wipe it off, I said. Goodbye, Tiffany. She walked out. She got into the U-Haul, which she struggled to drive, nearly taking out my mailbox, and drove away. I immediately went inside and rekeyed the locks. I had the kit ready. I wasn't taking chances with copied keys. Then I did a walkthrough. She had left a parting gift, of course. In the guest bathroom, she had poured a bottle of red nail polish down the sink drain. It was dried, caked onto the porcelain and the metal stopper. I sighed. It was petty. It was destructive. But then I remembered the cash for keys agreement we signed. I took a photo of the sink. I texted her, saw the sink. The agreement stated you would leave the property in broom-clean condition with no new damages. You violated the contract. I am filing the small claims suit for the sneakers, $120, the cleaning, $15, and now a new sink pedestal for $100. Expect the summons at your mother's address. She replied instantly. You said you wouldn't sue me. I said I wouldn't sue if you left without issues. Vandalism is an issue. See you in court. I blocked her number. The fallout. The lawsuit. I filed the paperwork on Monday. It's not about the money. It's about the principle. And the record. I want a public record that she destroys property when she doesn't get her way. It's a warning label for the next guy. The brand. I checked her Instagram from a burner account. She posted a photo of her boxes in her mother's garage. Caption, starting over. Sometimes you have to leave toxic environments to find your light. Hashtag, new beginnings, hashtag, survivor. The comments were turned off. I guess the receipts I posted about the defamation had reached her audience. The kids, Leo and Sophie, came over on Wednesday. They walked into the house. Sophie looked around. Is the lady gone? She asked. Yes, I said. She moved out. Can we build a fort in the living room? Leo asked. Like a big one? With all the cushions. You can use every cushion in the house, I said. They built a massive, chaotic, ugly fort right in the center of the living room. It ruined the aesthetic. It blocked the flow of traffic. It looked like a bomb went off in a pillow factory. I sat on the floor inside the fort with them and ate pizza. This is cool, Sophie said. It's cozy. Yeah, I said. It really is. I looked around at my house. It wasn't curated. It wasn't content ready. It was messy and loud and full of crumbs. And for the first time in 6 months, it felt like a home. Tiffany wanted a sanctuary. She didn't realize that a sanctuary isn't about silence and white furniture. It's about being safe with the people who matter. She's gone. My kids are here. The foundation held.